Hello, how are you? My name is Federico Ast. I am a president at the cooperative Kleros, and welcome to How to Build in Web3 program lesson 2. And here we will today discuss about strategy design. So first, let's review a bit what we discussed in the previous lesson. So we presented a number of trends happening in Web3, and in particular, we focused on thesis called the protocol sync that was developed by Ryan Sean Adams from Bankless. And this thesis is about how the different layers of the Web3 ecosystem is going to be built. So at the bottom we have like the Ethereum as the decentralized computer that will provide services to all of the apps in Web3. And then there is a bunch of layers where people build different projects serving different needs. And so one of the predictions that the protocol sync thesis has is that the higher the density of a protocol, the deeper it will be in this protocol stack, in these layers, and the higher the potential for adoption. So a key concept to understand here is what we call protocol density, which can be estimated by just two variables. First one is the utility of the protocol, how useful it is for the users. And the second one is the attack surface. I mean, how weak a protocol is to being captured or corrupted or exploited by users. So the goal of the strategy, as we discussed last week, is to try to increase as much as possible the density of the protocol by increasing the utility the protocol has for users and decreasing the attack surface to exploiters and attackers. Okay, so in a future lesson we will discuss about attack surface, when we will discuss about mechanism design and token economics. Now we will focus mostly on the utility side, and for this we're going to use a tool which is very common in the world of startups. It's called Lean Canvas, and it's design thinking methodology that helps summarize the key elements of a startup in just one sheet. So has been used for a long time in the startup world to understand better the problem to solve, the solution. There are different versions of the Lean Canvas. The one we are going to use here is called Running Lean, or comes from this book called Running Lean by Ash Moria. There are others, and you could potentially use another one. They are more or less the same, but I'm more used to this one, so I'm going to continue with this one. And of course, some purists might say that, well, crypto networks are not exactly companies, which is of course true, but still the Lean Canvas framework is quite useful for thinking about our crypto network and our DAO. So we are still going to use it with the caveat that we need to be aware that it's not exactly a company, but you will see that it's still very useful. And the next thing is check on the comment section of this video. So pause the video and check on the content on the comment section, and then you can see links where you can download the Lean Canvas to print it and write as we go. Or you can also do it online. There's a link where you can just access Google Slides, and then you can edit it with your computer, and then you can go along with me. So, and then, well, let's start. I'm going to go with you step by step, trying to fill all of the blanks of the Lean Canvas document, and we will use examples from Kleros, of course, because this is what we know better. So you can have some illustration of how this exercise is to be done. So the first questions to answer are in the two sides of the canvas. So it's the problem that you want to solve with your protocol and the customer segment for this problem. So first question, so ask yourself, what is the problem we want to solve? In the case of Kleros, smart contracts cannot resolve disputes that involve some subjectivity and require human interpretation. And what is the segment that has this problem? So in Kleros, it's teams and communities who are developing Web3 applications, right? So you should see how to fill these answers in your own idea and in your own project. And after you have done this, we can move to the solution. So in this case, it's useful to think how are people solving this problem in an imperfect way now that your protocol still doesn't exist. So in the case of, transportation, before people had cars, they traveled by carriage, which was of course slower and more expensive than cars. In the case of dispute solution in Web3, so teams or communities solve the disputes internally or with a governance token, which is not a very scalable process, or it's not very transparent. So the solution that Kleros proposes here is a protocol that is going to use crowdsourcing and game theory to resolve disputes of Web3 platforms in an efficient and credibly neutral way, right? For this, what we develop at Kleros and what we work on is a decentralized mechanism which coordinates the actions of users to resolve the disputes that are sent to the platform. Okay, so now you have problem, customer segment, solution, and now how can we summarize what we want to achieve in a vision? I mean, what do we want to achieve in the long term? In the case of Kleros, well, we want to become decentralized court for all of the Web3 ecosystem, decentralized court where different apps or different applications can send their cases for Kleros to resolve, and then Kleros sends back the decision. So this is our vision for the long term. This is what we want to achieve. So you should define what this looks in your case. And now another question is, how is the project going to make money, right? What are the revenue streams? In the case of Kleros, we have that more cases and more value secured by the protocol is going to generate higher demand for the PNK token, and this will drive the revenue up. And then we have to go to the cost structure. So what are the main costs of offering the solution that you plan to offer? In Kleros, we have user fees, we have the network transaction fees, and costs about software development, business development, and marketing. And then we have to think, what are the key metrics that we want to track? So what do we want what are the metrics that we want to understand and to construct in order to follow how the protocol or the project is moving forward? So in the case of Kleros, we track closely, of course, the number of disputes that the platform resolves, the total value secured by the protocol, the cost of resolution per case, and the perceived credible neutrality that Kleros has in potential users. So this is what we track very closely at Kleros. And then we have to discuss the channel. So how are we going to reach the customers and other key users? In Kleros, we spend lots of time and effort trying to reach to potential partners, like protocols who might potentially outsource or delegate their resolution processes to Kleros. And we do this through participating in industry conferences, doing lots of business development outreach, and of course a lot of Discord, Twitter, and Telegram, outreach. So this is very common for most of the, of course, Web3 projects. And then last question is, what is the unfair advantage that we have? I mean, what prevents a competitor from just simply copying or forking the protocol? And of course, in the case of Kleros, you can fork or copy the code because everything is open source, but you cannot really fork the credibility or the reputation that Kleros has as a good resolution protocol, because we have been working at Kleros for 5 years and building our reputation and developing technology, communicating what we do. So this is not as easy to copy as just the smart contract or front-end code that we developed, okay? So now, at this point, you should have the lean canvas already completed. So this would give us an overview of what we want to achieve and what is the main metrics and the main ideas that we will have to develop throughout the project. And this is going to be the core stuff that we're going to use for developing our strategy. So the homework for next session is going to, well, build the lean canvas of your project, try to complete all of the boxes, and then next week we're going to focus on another element that is network effects. So see you in the next video.